Hello everybody, it's Zeidoktor here with Typical Manga Fan, and this episode of the Typical Manga Review is going to be dedicated to Bleach, Chapter 677, Horn of Salvation 2. And we open up with where we left off. The Crescent Moon Grand Ray Sero Getsuga Tensho is trying to slice through Yuwak, and he's actually impressed by this. Like, you actually combined the Getsuga Tensho with the Grand Ray Sero? For you, a mutt born from a combination of all different things, that is a power that suits you well. And
So he's basically
yeah.
basic.
And he pretty much renders it useless right on the spot.
Yeah, I get kind of. And
It was nice while it lasted.
They say that the Grand Race Arrow is like one of the top things. Like is one of the most powerful attacks that a spotter can do, and that it was actually banned from being of use in the Wakamundo by Aizen. But if you think about it, the two times it's been used in canon, it hasn't worked. Like so, we had the first time it was used by Grimjaw. Ichigo just flashed it. He just like dissipated it or deflected. I don't know what he did. I think he just completely dissipated it. Okay. And then this one, Ichigo just blocks it. So it's kind of like if you think about it, the Grand Race Arrow has actually never worked. It's never even done any damage.
It's the Spirit Bomb and Bleach, only less successful.
Except no, the Spirit Bomb actually did work with Boo. So actually,
that's why I followed up with only less successful.
Okay, yeah, and it still hurts you. It still hurts you.
Oh yeah, I mean it still did damage with Vegeta and Frieza. So.
Yeah. The Grand Race Arrow has not even scratched anyone. Like it did not scratch Ichigo at all when he used his. It just forced Ichigo to go Visor, to go Hollow Mask, and in this one, Yubok doesn't even care. Like he's like whatever.
And he deflects it. So like, tells Ichigo he's out of his league. Like I can read you like an open book, Ichigo. He's underestimating me.
Oh. Yeah, he just goes through all these types of thoughts that Ichigo's having, and basically says like, if anything, it just shows you. It just shows you how straightforward Ichigo's thinking is.
Yeah.
Because you can tell that is what Ichigo's thinking. And it's sort of like how he doesn't know the extent of my fuse hollow strength, or that he's still underestimating me. Dude, the guy can see everything. Ichigo just... if anything, this is just showing how stupid Ichigo is, or how short-sighted he is a better word.
Yep. And he does point out that it's a sound logic most of the time, but
yeah,
that window of opportunity, he just slammed that window of opportunity shut.
It's sound logic if you forget that the villain you're facing off against is the guy who can see everything in the future. So it's a big that's actually really crucial that you keep that a really crucial point that Ichigo missed. And so Yubok's like, well, too bad, and he goes all like I thing.
Yep.
So now I'm pretty sure that now he can see the future. Let's. I mean, I think he's always been able to, but this is like a definite. Yeah, he is. Like,
yeah, if he wasn't that before, he definitely is now.
Yeah, because I don't think because he said he turned off his power. He never technically said he turned it back on. I'm assuming that now he just with all these statements, it's like a confirmation. It's definitely back on.
And he even points out himself that Ichigo's formidable enough that he really doesn't have a margin of error now.
Yeah. Actually, another thing is that if when Yubok turns off his power, does he forget everything he sees? Like, because good thing about it, if you see the future, right, then time doesn't really mean anything to you. So the fact that you turn it off now doesn't really change anything, really. Unless you forget what you saw like 5 minutes ago when you had it on.
That's a tricky question there. That would at least would make for an interesting weakness or use of the power, but.
Well, yeah, but he has to turn it off, and he has to do it. He did that of his own free will. I will say this one thing is that it makes sense. If he forgets it because there's just so much information.
That's what I'm saying, and that might even be like a compelling reason to turn it off.
Yeah, were you able to say something else too?
No, I was actually just gonna say just that. Like that might be a reason for him to turn it off. Information overload.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, having this, he's shown that he's able to take it all in. So
yeah,
I mean, I don't see how that would be an issue.
And as the fight goes on, Ichigo's maneuvering is hampered by the fact that every place he steps, Yubok's got a trap set.
Yeah, and then we see Orihime just watching the.
Oh yeah.
Afar.
That was just before that part. So
I was like, yeah. So Orihime is watching from afar. I'm hoping that she will come back. Actually, some people think that she might do like a sacrifice herself, and then make Ichigo go like full like crazy mode. Although to be fair, I think I will say this though is that I think Ichigo crazy mode is kind of like that's behind us now. I think he's gotten over that because I mean, he was always about control. Him going crazy, even as. It's understandable if that were to happen with Orihime,
mm-hmm.
but in terms of how this fight would progress, I'd rather avoid that just because it's kind of like we've been through that, we've done that. I think now this is about Ichigo finally learning how to control himself and remaining calm. So I can see it happening, but I'd rather not, you know.
Yeah. And then we kind of get a little more explanation on Yubok's power. It's like, I'm sure you've been told that my Zum Almighty can see the future. Like he's got the Almighty there in like brackets.
Which page are you on?
Oh, 14. Did I get ahead of you?
Yeah, you skipped a lot ahead of me.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
I mean, basically, there's a lot of slashing going on, which is
Yeah.
and then he's basically showing that he's got traps around, and what I want to note is that this is a lot more content than this is really weird. Whenever Ichigo fights, in any of Ichigo fights, you get a lot of good slashing. You got movement. You got actual fights.
Right.
Whenever it's not Ichigo, it's just standing there doing one slash at a time, with everyone taking turns. Like what I've always criticized about Bleach was that it seemed like they just most of the time they just stand there, talk a lot, and then just slash once, and then do this shock face thing. Like, oh, did I win? Did we win? No, he's actually doing. He wasn't actually hurt.
Nope.
When it was Ichigo, it's actually kind of the opposite, where you have a lot of things going. Actually, but actually, it's actually really good. I like it. That's what I will like about. That's what I do like. And it's just that there's a lot more. There was so much hype going to this. I think it's actually moving a little too fast. I'll explain that later.
Yeah, I remember you tweeted like that's a strange. You were surprised you were saying that about Bleach of all series. But yeah,
I wasn't surprised. I knew it was going to happen. It's just a funny thing to note.
As the fight's going on, like you said, there's lots of slashing. Traps are hitting Ichigo in the feet wherever he steps because he's got them planned out ahead of time. Yuak points out starts explaining about any misconceptions Ichigo might have about the Almighty.
Yeah, because Ichigo thinks there has to be some kind of limit, and he's got to find out what it is. And it's true. And I think it's true. Like I think there is a limit, because otherwise how would he win? Like you can't win this unless there is some type of weakness. And so he basically says, like, if you think you know how my power works, then just stand right there. And then Ichigo does stand right there, and he gets slashed.
Yeah. And then Ichigo points out, like, there has to be some kind of limit. Like, if he really could see everything, then he wouldn't have to block with a sword. He'd have something laid out to handle the attack to begin with.
Oh no, that was actually what I was talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. A little less coordinated than usual this week, it seems. Anyway.
Well, it's just because a lot of it is just him basically talking about the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, he's swelling in the eyes and spending the whole chapter talking about himself.
Yeah, but it's true though. Why would he have to block it? But the response is that, well, he doesn't have to. But the thing is though, like, he's just this. I think he's just playing Ichigo right now. He's having fun. Like the thing is that he could see he could just dodge it. That's true. But why not just block it and get yourself in there? That's the thing. Like, just because he can see the most straight path to victory doesn't mean he wants to take it, right? Have a little fun.
Yeah, like I said, he points out that Ichigo's basically operating under the belief that the future can be changed, and if you're capable of growing, maturing even during a fight, then the future he sees can shift into something different. That's what he's assumed Ichigo's thinking about. And if that's what you really believe, then just stay right where you are. At which point, another trap activates, stabs Ichigo through his shoulder, and breaks his horn.
Yeah. And
of course, the horn comes right back, it looks like.
Yeah. So, yeah. Basically, Yuabok is like, look, you made one fatal miscalculation. The future you see does not wind down a single road. And he talks about how basically it's a bunch of possibilities and like sand scattering in the wind, grains of sand scattering in the wind. And basically put, he's saying exactly what we thought it was. Like I'm a little confused as why Ichigo didn't understand this. Like, it seemed like this whole thing it made more sense with Uryu and Haschel, because Haschel could only see one possibility apparently, which is actually pretty stupid, because that means then that's useless.
Or maybe it's fewer possibilities rather than just one.
Fewer possibilities, because it feels like if you see only one possibility, it's kind of useless, because at that point you just like as much as good as anyone else, and it could lull you into a false sense of security if that future can be changed. So I don't see. It's just maybe the one that's most likely to happen, but even then, it's still possible to get tricked by that power. Your box power is actually to the extreme where you know everything, right? But I thought that we knew that coming in. Like, so why is he explaining this to Ichigo? Unless Ichigo doesn't know about it, in which case, Ichigo, you're stupid. You should have at least thought of this being a possibility coming in. Like, that he knows everything.
I think he just wanted to rant about the pointlessness of hope.
Yeah, that's a lot of ranting. I mean, jeez, man, stop talking.
I mean, you're not Aizen, all right?
Well, I mean, he's kind of plagiarized Aizen. He said, "I control everything you've ever done in your life," which is what Aizen said.
True.
And Aizen's always said he basically knew everything.
Yeah, true.
And Isaac, well, I mean, technically this guy came first, but I mean, for us, Isaac came first. So who plagiarized who? I mean, you can make that decision on your own. But I mean, it's just kind of annoying that. I mean, like we said this in our previous reviews and the reviews before that this is what we thought Yubok's powers were, because he basically said it outright. He said, "I see everything. I'm omniscient." Basically, right?
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much what we assumed.
So him basically reconfirming to Ichigo just makes Ichigo look kind of stupid, because it's sort of like, well, Ichigo, I know that you don't know everything about Yubok, and I guess you haven't seen what the readers have seen, but at least going into this fight, you should at least kind of made this as a possibility. Like, that way we don't have to have this whole rant about him repeating what we already know, you know?
And with the talk of hope, Ichigo decides to go all Gurren, have his Gurren Lagann moment here. I know despair all too well, because up till now I've climbed up, kicked it in its teeth, and surpassed it. Over and over again, just to make it to this very moment. And look what we get here next.
Bankai!
Thank you. No, I had kind of a random dot before, but I don't think it's really likely. Would it be possible for each of Ichigo's swords to have their own Bankai? It's probably not, because I don't think it's that likely. Because I
actually thought of a different way. I mean, so okay, let's talk about that in a sec. I want to say one last thing though, is that when Ichigo's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kick it in his teeth" and stuff, that is such a shonen response. I mean, at the end of the day, you're just saying, "Who cares? I'm gonna hit you hard." It's sort of like, okay, that doesn't change anything.
There's a reason I was reminded of Gurren Lagann. That's pretty much their stick.
But Gurren Lagann made it cool, and it actually still made it possible, and it's like, oh, I can get behind that. With this, it's just like, dude, that doesn't change anything. He knows what's gonna happen. You idiot. I mean, if anything, all this chapter shows that Ichigo's stupid or very naive coming in, because it's sort of like, you know,
yep.
We already knew this. Come on. You know, and even if you had no reason, even if you didn't get exposed to the same stuff that we got exposed to. This at least should have been something that Ichigo should have been wary of. So he shouldn't be like, oh, there's only one future. I mean, if you think about it, being able to change the future and not having Yubok be able to react to it, that doesn't seem very like a strong power. That you know, I feel like if Yubok caused this so much trouble, you would expect Yubok to have a little more be a lot more powerful than that. And also, so a lot of people are saying that, oh, maybe Orihime might be the one to like push Ichigo over the edge, as I previously mentioned in this chapter. I will say this one thing: I kind of don't like the idea of Orihime being used as like the death, like her death being like what makes Ichigo. I don't know. I don't like that usage of her character. After it just feels like that's all she's good for, to be the sacrifice for Ichigo to push. I just don't know. I think there should be something more than that, you know?
Yeah, because her only appearance here was chilling herself.
Yeah. I mean, she's like also she's supposed to be one of the most powerful characters ever. It's just that she doesn't have the aggression that's needed to make it like offensive. But defensively, you know, it's like I just feel like there's so much potential for a character that I know has been wasted. And I said, like, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't agree with that if it was going to happen. A lot of people are saying that it's probably going to happen, and I can see it happening, but I just don't agree with it. Okay, so another thing is that I do like the fact that a lot of slashing. I mean, there is still a lot of talking, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But even with that, there is still much more slashing and jumping around and you know, like maneuver and a lot of attacks being done more than any other Bleach fight in this arc, really. Mm-hmm. And again, as I said before, it seems to me that's because that's like an Ichigo thing, which to me should be an Ichigo thing. It should be like an everyone thing. Everyone should be doing this whole thing where they're jumping around, slashing, and not just staying there and being like, oh, this is my ultimate ability, slash. Oh, it didn't work. Now the other guy's like, this is my ultimate ability, slash, and have like a freaking Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game, you know?
Yeah, this is my trap card, this is my trap card, this is my counter trap card, screw you.
Yeah, that's what. I will say this though. I do think the fight is moving way too quickly, and what I mean by that is that I think Ichigo's using his Bankai a little too fast, because I feel like we just got this new form, and I understand that it's not working. Like it's not gonna be what destroys Yubok, but I kind of want to get a feel for this form a little longer. You know, let the form breathe, as I want to say.
Well, the Bankai might be an extension of that, but we'll see.
But what I'm saying is, he just got a new form from his default form. So I kind of it's basically, think of it like his new Shikai, right?
Yeah.
I kind of want it's sort of like Kenpachi, where I kind of want to get a feel of the Shikai, let it kind of
see it a little more before we did too much.
See it actually a little more before we move on to the next level, because the problem is when you move on to the next level this quickly, you quickly forget about the previous level, especially when nothing comes of it. So yeah, I understand that this is not going to be the final form. Obviously, everyone knew that, but I kind of just wanted it to be like, at least Nick just scratch Yobok. Hell, even make it so that Yobok let him scratch him. You know, make it. That's the thing. Like the Grand Race Sarah was completely like pointless because it didn't. It was cool, but at the end of the day, it didn't do anything. So I kind of wanted it to be like, just as I said before, just a scratch. Hell, I just said like, make it so that Yobok let himself get hurt to make Ichigo, to troll Ichigo, to make Ichigo think that he had a chance, and at the last second Yobok just screws Ichigo over. That would have been a cool way to kind of not only show that Ichigo's done something,
yeah,
but also that Yobok's still in control. I thought that would be really cool.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, like you were saying last week, like he did this big old Grand Race here, and we were hoping that it would at least do something, but nope.
Yeah, I mean, we all saw it coming. I mean, at the very least, it wasn't like, oh, like a shock face, like, oh my gosh, it didn't work. Like, you know, I have a 5-panel spread of where, oh, maybe Ichigo won, obviously not, and then Yobok appears right behind him and says didn't work at all. At least this chapter was honest enough that Yobok just blocks it up front and then the fight continues. You know, Ichigo's not surprised. He's just like, okay, next move, whatever. And again, it seems to be the Ichigo thing, where all this stuff that I said all the other fights should have, they do with Ichigo. And yeah, now that he has his Bankai, whatever form he has now will be forgotten by all the fans, you know. And so I don't want it to drag it out for too long, obviously, but maybe one more chapter, like just one more chapter of Ichigo doing something with his new with this new kind of Shikai form. Yeah. Because as I said before, it's like, I get that this is the final boss. I get everything's gonna be escalated to the highest level.
Yep.
But sort of like with Kenpachi, I kind of wanted to let his middle tier form kind of breathe a bit, and then when we get used to it, then we get hyped up for the Bankai. Because think about it, if you get the thing about it, like the last 2 chapters, I was really hyped up, right? I'm not as hyped up now because I've just been hyped up twice already. It loses its punch after a while. That's why I say, like, hype up, get a lot of hype up going now, then let it calm down a bit, and then get hyped up again. You know, and I'm not asking for like 10 weeks. I'm asking for maybe 1 more chapter, maybe 2 at maximum, and then we go to Bankai. So unfortunately, when I see this Bankai, I'm just like, oh, okay, he's going Bankai straight away. Yeah. I will say though that, you know, there might be something more. Maybe he has a resurrection form, because Tosin did that. You know, he had a Bankai, and then he also had a resurrection form along with his vice. You know, after using his vice powers. So or a Senguda Tapa, where you had Ukiura, you know, have his first resurrection form, and then he had a second form, and you know, Ichigo can do all of those things. Some people also think that his Bankai might be like a Quincy bow.
Maybe he puts the 2 swords together.
I mean, he just pulled out his second sword. I mean, come on, that's not gonna make it go 1 sword again.
Well, no, like basically it turns like into a double bladed sword, like Darth Maul style.
Okay, well, I mean that's.
And then you can hold it like a bow.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. That's what people thought. Actually, they thought he would have done in the beginning, but see, the thing is, it doesn't come across this much to me because it's a manga. But in the anime, I would have liked to have seen like him do actual like dual swords, both hands, because they teased that with Star Wars 2. You know, when Anakin had 2 swords for like 5 seconds, and then he got chopped. Like, I don't want that. You know, I want actual combat, 2 swords. You know, going, you know, all out for at least like a good 2 chapters. You know, because he just pulled out his second sword in the middle of this chapter. So I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. I just think that the fight is accelerating a little bit too quickly. I wanted to see a little more of the Shikai do, you know, just a little bit of it, not of the normal hollow form Shikai, because and have it do something. You know, again, it doesn't have to do any significant amount of damage. Just make it so that we can say it did something. You know.
Yep. Now, one thing from my side, we haven't really rubbed too much here yet is involving Ewok's like whole grains of sand analogy. When he's doing his like hope rant, he's talking about how like people with hope are blindly jumping from one grain to the other. Yeah. What if the trick to fighting him is actually somehow being able to like somehow choose where you go, like rather than do it blindly like Ichigo's doing by determination? Maybe there's some way to actually literally choose your destiny in this. Like maybe you can only I don't know, like, not sure if I'm explaining it right, but basically, like, if Ewok is saying, like, is mocking him for running around blindly, maybe the key is to somehow learn how to aim.
So I mean, the only way to do that is Ichigo would have to see it, have some type of that almighty power for himself. I mean, maybe Uryu can come into this because again, he also has the A power, you know.
Right, at least he's said to, or he's supposed to be the heir.
Yeah, is that going to come into play again, or is that just like bullshit?
I don't know. He's on the it was just a political move.
For what?
To keep Uryu under control, or at least under everybody's eyes until it was time for him to do whatever he's going to do.
Because Uryu's done. I mean, Uryu's still betrayed everyone. It wouldn't have changed anything, really.
True. I mean, he didn't betray them until everybody else was dead, but still.
I mean, yeah. What he did was, I mean, here's the thing: like Yubak knew everything, right? He sees the future, so he knew. So he didn't have to make everyone watch Uryu. I mean, it just kind of felt pointless if you think about it. And see, the thing is, this knows everything power really makes everything seem so pointless. You know, just because it's like every time something happens now, you can just be like, well, why didn't Yubak sees that no matter what, you know? Until something comes in where you can say, oh, maybe that's something his powers can't work on. The answer will always be Yubak knows that.
Right.
Because why wouldn't he? Like, he knows everything. So
I mean, like I said, that's why there has to be. That's why I was wondering if that's maybe like it's not so much like there's a blind spot, but you just have to kind of compete with him in a way to pick your destiny out.
yeah, but I don't see how you could beat him in his own game because this guy has years of experience. You know, this is not an ability he just got. This is something he's had for like a long time.
In a way, that's the difference between him and Haswald.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you can make that point too. Like Hashwell only sees like a few scenarios where Yubak sees the whole thing and can use it effectively. I mean, he's shown to be able to use it against you know the leader Ichibei and probably other people too. I just hope I don't know. I guess I hope this is not the case. And Tekken 101, the Bleach reviewer, also hopes it's not the case where the ability to defy the almighty power is a bullshit Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
unfortunately,
that's one thing I'm afraid of here because like. Really, this Bankai is barring some resurrection like you got or Segunda Etapa or whatever that I forget what it's called, but the second resurrection.
Segunda Etapa.
Thank you. Barring something like that, this is Ichigo's last chance to win on his own merit, in my mind.
I mean, isn't his arc all about having his own merit? Like he said, like, I'm not asking for anyone's help anymore because I am myself. You are me. This is my power. You know, that's what he said when he got his two swords. Also, I want to point out something else. What's the point of going Bankai if Yubak still sees everything? Okay, fine, you hit harder now. So something special has to happen with this new Bankai to make it actually turn the tide, right? Because then wouldn't Yubak foresee Ichigo going Bankai, and wouldn't he foresee what Ichigo could do in that Bankai? And again, Ichigo's Bankai has always been just like enhancement of his physical abilities, like faster, stronger, can use a strong Getsuga Tensho. That doesn't actually change anything in a fight like with Yubak, so it doesn't actually change anything in the fight like with Yubak because Yubak it's not about who can hit stronger. It's about how do you get around this ability for him to know what you're going to do next. And please don't do the whole friendship of the heart of the Karas thing that Yugi did to defeat Pegasus. The mind shuffling thing was cool. The mind shuffling was actually awesome.
I was about to say, because the mind shuffling, if this were mind reading, that would work.
No. The mind shuffling was awesome, but then after the mind shuffling went away, and then the normal Yugi kind of fell unconscious, and then he had his heart of the cards where it blocked his vision.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of BS, but at the same time, Ichigo or Yu-Gi-Oh rather.
I mean Yu-Gi-Oh. It makes sense to Yu-Gi-Oh because Yu-Gi-Oh's always been like that, but this is Bleach. Bleach is not like that. Not at least not that cheesy.
Yeah.
So let's hope something a little more creative in how to beat Yubak. I really hope that Kubo actually, when he made Yubak's powers, he also came up with the way how to beat him. And not just be like, oh, I'll make Yubak's powers now, and then somewhere down the line, I'll come up with a way to beat him. I just hope he didn't do that.
Right. See here, so anything else you want to bring up before we wrap up, or you think we're good to
go? I think I brought up everything.
I think we got everything covered? Alright. In that case, that has been our review of Bleach Chapter 677, Horn of Salvation. 2. Go ahead and take us away.
Bye!